Welcome to the Businessmen and Women of Color podcast. I am your host, Ann Alston, and it is my pleasure to bring quality programs to all of you. I am so excited to be back again with another amazing speaker. Just be sure, I want to remind everybody to please be sure to listen to all of the podcasts listed on the webpage. Please make sure you click on their name, view their bio, listen to their podcast, and reach out to them because they are here to work for you. There's a lot of good information, and I want to make sure that you take advantage of this unique opportunity. Just in case you didn't know, the purpose of the Businessmen and Women of Color podcast is to network our small businesses, but also to share information that is relevant for job seekers, new job seekers, or working professionals. We would also like to take a moment to thank our corporate sponsors, which are a family of authors, Butler Armstead Consulting Solutions, Human Resource Learning Center, J&F Enterprises, and Women Offering Wealth, along with our business partners and other partners who is helping to make this event a success. So today I have one of my favorite authors on here who I've been kind of watching and looking and reading her bio, and I'm very, very excited to learn more about her book. I have Dr. Nagay Guten is the CEO of SNG Enterprises LLC, and she is also a professor at the Walden University. She is very dynamic and compelling. She's a keynote speaker, an entrepreneur. She also has other talents as a real estate investor. She's also a registered nurse, an advocate. She's also a mentor, and she does so many other things for a lot of the people in the community. Nate has won numerous awards, including the John Geoghegan Leadership Award. I hope I said that right. And what's really interesting about her background is that she has a doctorate in management and a master's degree in nursing administration. So with that, I would like to bring her on and welcome Nate to the podcast.
Thank you so much, Ann, for having me on. I'm so excited to be here, and I appreciate you reading the bio. And, yes, I'm kind of the jack of all trades, started out in nursing and was able to kind of blossom and go into different, career aspects and diversity. And so that's what I really would like to really, kind of talk to women about, not staying in one box, but having permission to do all the wonderful things that God has put inside of you. So I'm happy to be here.
Absolutely. And I thank you so much for being here. And you know what? You just so happened I was on a call with a mentee, just so happened a female who is pretty much just like you were saying, wants to be a jack of all trades. She is, trying to get her MBA. She wants to get in technology. She wants to also do project management. And so looking at your background, starting from the nursing aspect, what was your passion in terms of why you wanted to get into nursing, and then kind of talk about a little bit your transition into the other elements?
Oh, yes. So I grew up actually in healthcare. I was raised by my grandmother who worked in a hospital, actually Graduate Hospital in Philadelphia is Penn today. But I spent a lot of days there, nights and weekends. She worked 3 to 11, so we spent a lot of time there. I remember having Christmas there and seeing Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny in the hospital. But so it became second nature to me. And so that was where I realized that not only did I want to be in the healthcare field, but I understood that I was an advocate. And so throughout my years and my transition through college and post-secondary school, I realized that not only, that my vision and my purpose for my life as an advocate become clear, but it was also a part of my destiny. It was my gift. And I realized as an advocate, I can be an advocate as a nurse, but I can also be an advocate in different areas. So I started to realize that I had many other talents in leadership and management and technology. I have a master's in healthcare technology as well. And so with my diversity of gifts, I started to, as I kind of approached my 40s, I started to embrace those gifts. And I noticed that every time I would kind of put myself in the box to say, okay, you're a nurse. You gotta be a nurse. You can't be a leader, or you can't be in technology. Then I would feel guilty about, okay, well, I'm a nurse and I love it, but I also love technology. So how do I branch out and become more? And I started to follow the path and really not listen to the people, right? Or the society that says you need to be this one thing and stay on that path. I started to embrace all those gifts and really just seek different degrees. Going to school became an experience for me. It opened my mind to different things and different people. And then I began to network in different areas, and it just kind of took on a life of its own, and then today I'm here, with 18 years of nursing experience. I've been a chief nurse officer in the hospital. I've been a chief information officer in the hospital, and now in real estate and being an author and speaking about these things, I feel I'm entitled to give back. Like that, I have to come back and say, listen, this has been my walk, this has been my journey, and if I can do it, I want to empower any other woman to do it. And so I think my message in that is just, God gave us a diversity of gifts, not just one. So explore those and give yourself permission to live it out.
Okay, fantastic. So let me ask a question, because I liked everything you said about going to the different degrees and embracing all of the different talents that you had and everything. What I want to make clear to some of the career seekers out there is that I kind of want to get your perspective. I know they heard it from me, but I want your
Mm-hmm.
perspective on how do you choose what you want to do in each of those talents? Because there's a difference between doing what you aspire to do or you want to do and what you can do. And I kind of want to make sure that, people who are listening, I don't want them to go out there and say, oh, I really like this degree. I want to go out there and spend money on this degree. I really want to hear
Right.
how you made those discerned decisions on, okay, I want to do this specific thing because I like it, or I want to
Right.
get this degree because.
Well, you know what, Ann, that is a great question. And I like when you said the plan and the strategy, because I mean, I can remember since I was in high school, I always had a strategy. I always had a plan, and it was documented. Whether it was my 3-year plan, my 5-year plan, and my 10-year plan. So you're right. I didn't just say, I have all these gifts, so let me pursue this. So I started with healthcare because that's what I knew, that's what I was used to, and I knew I had a plan and a passion for that. So I got my bachelor's degree was first in nursing. I got a nursing job, and then I realized that I had the leadership skills. So I took certifications first. So again, to your point around, we don't want to jump out and just get the degree, and especially now because it costs much more than it did back in the day. So I would get a certification first. I knew I wanted to be a leader shortly after, and a leader in a hospital shortly after getting into my first nursing job. So I took a nursing certification leadership course, and it was kind of a three credit course just to see, one, could I afford it? Is this something that I like? Did I have the time to do it? And then when I did that, it didn't open my eyes to, yes, this is the next step for me. Now, and if I would have, taken that time and I said, no, it's just something that I didn't really like, then I could have kind of took a step back and level set. But you're right, and I tell this to people all the time. If you're thinking about doing something, either one, network in that area, go take up a certification, go join an association in that area to see, is this really for you? Are these the people that you want to work with? Is this the next level for you? So once I take that certification, then I knew that I liked it. So then I went back to school and got my master's in nursing. And so that master's in nursing was around education and nursing leadership. So again, that opened up another door for me in terms of being an educator or professor in nursing and also a leader in nursing. So once I became a chief nurse officer, shortly after I graduated with my master's in nursing, I knew that technology and healthcare was the way to go. So another one of my strategic points is I try to follow the money in my industry, right? Because healthcare is cyclical, but technology was, again, something that I liked in terms of innovation, but I knew healthcare will be devoting dollars to that. So you want to be careful not to go and get a degree or look for a job in a field that's going to be phased out. right? Or that
Exactly.
you're in a certain job today and you're looking to kind of go to the next level. But you have to be careful that that next level is, one, your next level, and two, that it is a level that the organization is going to retain, because jobs are downsizing these days.
Hmm.
So I knew hospitals would downsize, but technology would last, and technology is going to take healthcare to the next level. So again,
Hmm.
I took a certification in technology, a 9-credit course, kind of figured out whether I like it, is it something I wanted to do, and then it was. And then I have a degree in technology as well. So that's
That's
when I
really
be
interesting. I'm sorry, I wanted to
sorry.
interrupt this point because I wanted to take it home when you were saying that you followed the money, and you followed your career path, because it's really important to build a roadmap. If you're not sure how your career is going, and what you're saying is that you literally looked at all the things that was coming your way as you move from one step to the next step and then the next step, it was always leading you to the next one. And so, for people who are going to college right now and are taking degrees to try to make that transition, you have to have a solid career plan and make sure that each and every time you make a step in your career that is leading you to your next step.
And you're absolutely right, and I want to also mention your career plan is not static. You also want to review that. So I review my career plan at least quarterly, just like my goals. You want to reevaluate that. You want to constantly keep that in prayer, but you also want to evaluate that in terms of where you are and where your career field or industry is going. Like if your job is today is starting to downsize, you want to think about, is this the next step? Is this the next step here? And you want to try to get in front of that. And oftentimes we wait too late for those signs, right? We don't move when we need to move. So that's the other point. You do want to have a strategic plan, but when it's time to move, then you just need to move,
That is the
because you
key of
don't want
that is the
that is
key.
the because I'm going to tell you, what happens. Then next thing you know, you get laid off and you're like, oh, well, I didn't see this coming. Well, you did, because you on your plan, you had
Hmm.
it documented, but you
Right.
didn't move. So you don't want
Right.
to let fear interfere with that.
Exactly. And I think it's really important. I'm glad you said it. Is that is the key to career transition. You have to be in front of your plan at all time. I can't tell you how many times I go out to the internet and see what my industry is doing, what is popular nowadays, what do I have in my own skill set that I can move to a new position. Because in the end, you can't really control how long you're really going to be on a job, because I mean, either the job is going to be there for a long time or it's not, but you have to be prepared for those unexpected situations where you may get laid off or the job goes belly up. You have to know where your next step is going to be, and you did a very good job of being able to jump those hurdles.
So I wanted to add in, my first leadership job as a chief nurse officer, I was very young and I was new to the field. So I realized that I needed an executive coach. And so not only did I go out and look for an executive coach on my own, I was willing to finance it, right? Which is
Hmm.
an investment into not only my career, but also my development and my success in the role. That's the other thing. We can get a role, but you still need to be successful in it. But what I wound up doing is I negotiated my first CNO job, which is a chief nurse officer. I negotiated in my contract that my employer would pay for my executive coach, which at that time was $20,000 for the year. And I
Hmm.
told them that I would take a cut in my salary that they were offering me to pay for that coach.
Wow.
And at the end of our negotiations, they wound up keeping the salary and hiring the coach anyway.
Oh,
And
wow.
I retained that coach for the 5 years I was in that role. And actually, when I left the role and transitioned to another role within the organization, I retained that coach. So today, I want to say it's been about 15 years. I've had an executive coach that
Yeah.
now I pay for.
Wow. And that's really critical because I would say that a lot of people can't afford that coach or maybe have the opportunity, but I'm saying you guys that's listening, if you didn't hear what she just said, she literally negotiated for a career coach. She actually found the time to invest in a career coach. Not saying that every career coach or executive coach is going to cost you $20,000, but there are a lot of experienced career coaches out there. Me, myself, I'm going to say I'm one of them, that you can go out there and find someone who can help guide you on making a career plan. There was something else too that you mentioned in your conversation, Dr. Gooten, about not going to an organization unless they have adequate tuition reimbursement.
Yeah, so again, going back to the strategy, right? So you got to have a strategy. So every time I went to a hospital, regardless of what role, I knew that I wanted to get another degree, whether that be a master's in nursing or whether that be a doctorate. So every job that I went to, part of my decision making was the tuition benefits that they offered and how much they would cover and how much time I would need to stay there. So some jobs may have been good, but I didn't take them because they didn't have the adequate tuition benefit. So I'm going to say this, and I have 5 degrees. I paid for one,
What?
including a doctorate. I did
Wow.
not. I paid for my bachelor's degree, 3 master's degree, and a doctorate and a bachelor's. I paid for my bachelor's. Every hospital or organization I work for paid for my other 4 degrees, including
Wow.
my doctorate.
Okay, and who is your career coach again? Because I need to know who this executive coach. She's good. She's good.
So
I like that.
again, you back to your point, and you have to have a plan. This doesn't just happen haphazardly. And I tell young people this all the time, especially in high school. I do a lot of high school career fairs. I tell them, don't let life happen. Don't let it just happen. Don't. Write down what you want. Document it. Go for it. Plan for it. Look at the jobs you're taking. Don't just take them because they're hiring you. Look at the plan. And then
Exactly.
also some jobs have benefits, right? But then they say, well, you got to give us a 2-year commitment after we pay your tuition. Well, if you're not going to stay there for 2 years, then don't do it.
Exactly.
Find another place. Or guess what, guys? I didn't particularly like these jobs for the whole 2-year commitment, but they paid for my degree. So guess what I did? I sucked it up. And I stayed there for the 2 years until I can walk out tuition free with a degree.
Wow, you're on fire now. You're on fire. I got you
Sully,
started. No, it's
are
okay
you? Oh,
because
yeah, you got me. Because I want to tell you, it's sacrifice, it's
mhm,
hard work.
it's
You
hard
cannot
work.
always do what you want to do. And in the book, I talk about going on a 365-day financial fast, which I
Oh,
didn't
oh,
buy
talk about that.
anything.
What is a
I
300?
didn't buy anything. So you telling me that you can't afford to pay for a coach, but how much do you pay in travel and clothes and
Mhm.
gas and coffee? So when I say 365-day financial fast, I didn't buy anything but the necessities, right? Food. I didn't buy makeup. I was in my makeup with a Q-tip. I was serious. So
Wow.
this is when I was starting the real estate. We wanted to buy a property. We didn't have the money, and we weren't going into 401ks and all that to do that. Now, eventually, after we got some financial planning and advisor, we did that further down the line. But I'm like, no, and we need to buy a property this year.
Mhm.
Financial fast. Nobody moved to the left or the right. Nobody buy anything outside of these 5 things in this house for one complete year. I walked out.
Right.
I walked out of that year with enough to purchase outright a whole property,
Wow.
like money I didn't even know that I could have.
Exactly.
So
And I'm
again,
going through the same thing too. I'm actually not, I don't know if I call it a 365, but I definitely call it a 6 month financial health check where, my husband and I also doing the same thing because you have to reboot. You have to go back and say, where is your money really going? Is it going to your goal or is it going out the door?
right,
Yeah.
right.
Wow.
And so you want people to invest in you, but you don't. I call it self sabotage. I have on my refrigerator, do not self sabotage. You want people to invest in you, but you're not. You want these dreams, you want people to help fulfill, but then you're not. No, turn it around, invest in yourself, get a career coach, pay for that instead of going on vacation this year because it will help you. in years to come. And
Fantastic.
certainly, you will be able to take several vacations after you get to where you need to go.
So let's turn the conversation to more of, the transition. How did you get into real estate? I mean, that is a really interesting one because, I mean, coming from nursing and then all of a sudden, bam, you're a real estate agent. Talk about that a little bit. I'm really interested in that.
Right. Well, actually, it's just, I'm not an agent, it's investing. And actually, my husband is a carpenter and an architect. So real estate was really his dream. And so him and I closely worked together, in our marriage ministry, right, to not only build our marriage, but also our partnership and and kind of our career next step. So real estate was always kind of our exit strategy. So in the end, that's our empire, that we would not only have real estate for our children and be able to give them the houses the time is ready or when they were ready to leave, but also have that equity and investment to them. So in terms of our investment portfolio, real estate was always that. I just didn't realize that it was going to come at this time. But again, we sat down and we developed our personal goals together several years ago, and we said we're going to walk away. At least we have two sons, 15 and 9, and we said we're going to start out with the 2 properties, so again they could have something. And once we got into it, 2 properties turned into 10 in 4 years. So it was again not only just an investment and a legacy for our children, but it became a ministry. And again, like I said, I'm an advocate. So being able to advocate for families and give them a quality place to stay when they may not be able to afford to buy a home or be able to afford to put their kids in a different place, it became like, this is not just an investment. We really work with low-income families in Wilmington, Delaware, and I love to be able to provide them with a nice and sometimes new home. Sometimes we gut the whole thing and there's new everything from the kitchen to the front door to the 3rd floor. And to be able to provide them and their children with a decent place to stay on an income that they can afford has become a ministry for us. So it's been a pleasure.
Wow.
And as an advocate, it just again, like I said, after about 3 years, it turned into, okay, this is not just about making money. This is really an investment. So we are really cognizant around where we buy property, how we stage the property, who we rent it to, what neighborhood, because we're placing children in these homes. So we want them to be in a safe environment. So it is something, again, that kind of fits in our purpose and our portfolio, not just for our lives, but our ministry.
That's fantastic. That is fantastic. I mean, how many people actually do that? You don't really hear too much about that kind of commitment to take on, to invest in a home, to seek out families, to provide them something. We need to hear more of these kind of things, and that's why I developed the podcast so that we as a people can let them know that, hey, these services are available. You are available. And I really want to applaud you for helping out families in that way because it's so needed out here today. It is definitely so needed. So tell everybody about your book.
So my book, which was released last year in July, is called Transformational Innovation, 10 Practical Steps to Help You Change Your Life. And I call it a daily devotional because it's really something that is packed with a lot of information. Even though it's a short book, it's deep, right? It took me about a year to go through these 10 steps. And so I say it's a daily devotional because it's the kind of material that is life-changing and it's practical steps to help you change your life. So what I try to do in this book is I read a lot of self-help books, and everyone's telling you, do this and do that and do this, right? But I wanted to write something that I'm the guide, I'm the facilitator, but it's really your material. You're the one that's you're going to fill out some of these pages here that I'll leave blank, and you're going to go at your own pace because the transformation is the new you, not the new product, right? That's why I call it transformational innovation, because when we want to change or transform, we're looking for the new house, or we're looking for the new car or the new thing. And what I want to come out of this is it's a new you. So rather you have the new car and new house, sometimes we can fall into the same patterns, even with the new car and the new house.
Right.
But as we transform our lives, we have to change our thinking. We have to change our mindset. We have to change our perspective. We have to change the people around us. So through this book, what I like people to get out of it is, here's 10 steps that's going to help guide you, but really what I want you to be looking for is the new you. And so for me, that's what I got out of this. You know, I went into this that I'm a nurse. Like I always say I was born and raised and bred as a nurse. And to be able to step into a realm where I'm a real estate investor or writing books or author, that was foreign to me. So I had to transform my it was like my inside out, and I had to embrace all these gifts to even walk in this journey that I'm walking today. And I had to let all that go. Yes, I'm a nurse, but that's what I do. That's not who I am. If I would have stayed there, I would have been limited.
That's a good point. People don't realize when you stay somewhere, you can actually limit yourself.
Yes.
And I kind of believe that, you can always change something about yourself if you believe you have the potential to do something. And you can always evolve and reinvent yourself and really come out and always have a new you. I'm always reinventing. Some people feel that, oh, I'm good at where I'm at. And they're pretty much happy. They don't have any problems at all. But it doesn't hurt to kind of reevaluate where you are in your current situation and make changes to make sure that you are still happy where you are.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, you know what, Ann, it's hard though. You know what
It
I'm
is really
saying?
hard.
It is hard. And sometimes painful. Like I'm like, look, I'm walking through this journey and I know, it's great things on the other side, but sometimes I'm like, oh, this thing is hard. So, that's why I call this a daily devotional, because it's enough to each step, you can go day by day, you can go month by month, but I really want people to do the work and think about, okay, because number one is altering your perception. Oh my goodness, that's difficult. So take your time, read a little bit every day, and really process it.
Okay. So in your I would say in your encounters with some, people who have read your book or maybe in one of your speaking engagements, what was their feedback? Was some of them able to follow along and actually fill out those tasks in your book?
Yes. Well, actually, it's funny because I had my mother do it before, and I said, Mom, I want you to, before I put the book out, I want you to go through this and tell me how long it takes you. And, of course, my mother, true to form, said, oh, well, I reordered the steps. So I didn't go 1 through 10, because number 2 is eliminate the clutter. And you don't have to go in chronological order. Again, that's why, it's self-paced. But number 2 is eliminate the clutter. And a lot of people said, oh, my goodness, like it took me 3 months to get through eliminate the clutter because it was so deep for me. Like I had so much, and I had so much weighing me down, especially as women. A lot of women say, that clutter piece, that touched me. And I had to figure that thing out. And then I asked you to document your clutter elimination plan.
Right.
And, women were like, oh, my goodness, like this was deep for me. And so, yeah, but I do have a couple of, like, some of my, male followers. They say, I was good until we got to, the letting go and let God. So, again, it depends. Some people it can take. A young person told me, I read the book in one night, and then I went back and filled out the pages. So, again, it depends. It depends on your pace. But I really wanted it to be short because some of our, millennials, our newer generation, they like the quick read. Tell me the 10 points and let me go.
Right.
And so what I've been hearing from them is, oh, good, this resonates with me. Because I know my son, who's 15, if the book is 200 pages, he won't pick it up, So, I have some of my young people say, yes, the book resonates with me. Then I have some of my more seasoned followers, and they say, listen, I did this thing. It took me 3 months or 6 months to do it.
Okay, but you know, I kind of feel the same way. When I did Empower Thyself, I wanted that to also be one of those things where people can follow steps and to actually implement things in their life. And it is hard to get rid of that clutter. And I call it throw out the drama trash can. That's what I call it. You know, when you have people that brings a lot of drama in your life, or situations or problems, you just put it in the can and take it out, because that's the hardest part, because we all love our family and our friends, and we all love people who have different issues going on. And like you said, as women, we love to take on problems, and we don't know how
Hmm.
to offload our own problems because we have so much that's overbearing on us. And just having another tool out there that women and men can gravitate to is definitely very helpful in making sure that you are reinventing yourself. And one of the things I want to do with this podcast is change, like everyone here who I've talked to so far, change the mindset. Let's change our mindset on how we see ourselves and see if there's something that we can do to make it better. If it's something that someone says in this podcast, please make sure you reach out to them and get more information. Just don't listen to the podcast and say, oh, that was nice. You know, the information is here. Her book is here, and so are many other information that's being shared in the podcast. You know, even myself, we're all here to make sure that you are growing in some way. So, Nade, let me ask you this. Okay, so given your organization, SNG, is that part of what you're doing now as far as your speaking engagement, or is that a different type of service that you offer to people?
Yeah, so actually, I've begun to incorporate all of my work because it is under one umbrella of being an advocate, right? So actually, we're building an empire, my husband and I, and so it is S&G Enterprises, and then there's different segments under it. So
Wow.
under S&G Enterprises is the real estate, right? So there's a real estate component. I also have a home healthcare agency that I just opened up in March 1st. So there's a healthcare component, and then there's also a mentorship component in sports. So my husband, again, he does coaching, so with the sports and the kids. So then there's the sports and mentor piece. So under that umbrella, there are four different business streams that's not only aligned with our purpose, right, of being advocates and mentors, it also generates income for our family.
Wow. Okay. So, with that enterprise that you're building, what do you need in terms of networking with everybody here on the podcast and those who are listening? What do you need in terms of your business, or help that you need for your business?
Well, I would say I just actually released today on June the 4th. I'm having a conference and a brunch. So I just released the Are You Stuck? Transform Your Life Now tour, and we're kicking that off in June in Philadelphia. So you can get me on Instagram. My Instagram is at Dr. Guyton10. I'm also on Facebook at Nate Guyton, right? So it's Nate with an accent over the E. My website is www.10-principles.com. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
all over social media. So come out to the conference. Part of the conference and the brunch, which I'm really excited about, is we're starting in Philadelphia, which is my hometown, is where I was born and raised. And we're really everyone's going to get a book, and we're going to dive into the book as a team, right? As
Mm-hmm.
an organization, and we're going to energize one another, we're going to empower one another, and we're going to walk out with a plan.
Wow.
So if anyone listening to this podcast say, well, you know what, I don't really have a strategy. I don't
Mm-hmm.
have a 5-year plan. I don't have a 10-year plan. I've never documented that.
Mm-hmm.
Please come out to the conference and brunch, because we're going to share brunch. We're going to break bread, but
What?
we're going to make sure everyone walk out
Mm-hmm.
with their plan.
Yeah,
So
and
you'll
you
have
know
your
what?
documented plan.
Documented plan. But I also want to remind you that this podcast will be aired on June 11th. But so I still want people to know that you hold these type of events and how they can
Yeah.
reach you to do these things. What other aspects do you think other business owners who connect with you may be helpful?
Well, just I think the connection between women and networking, like I said, there's a real estate component, there's a healthcare. Our healthcare agency is out of Philadelphia, and again, connecting back to the community. So my website for the home care agency is snghealthcare.org. And so again, if you're in the Philadelphia area, or if not, you have family members there. Our goal is really to build up the community, whether we provide a place to live, or we provide care in their homes, or we do mentoring of young men and women, and also sports leadership. So again, connect with us through any of those websites or social media. I mean, I'm all over social media, and you can contact any of my websites through there. But I would say just let me know how I can support you or serve you, or if it's anything that you need services in terms of healthcare, also mentorship,
Yeah.
housing, real
Hmm.
estate. Let us know.
Yep, absolutely. And so I just wanted to remind everybody that if on her page, we'll have all of her social media links and her contact information and website. So please reach out to her if it's any of the services that she listed that you are interested in, or you just want to build a new business partner relationship. Please reach out to Dr. Gooten. She's there, ready and available to you to help you with everything. And would like to also thank you for being on the podcast today and sharing all of this wonderful information.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. And you know what, Ann, I want to say thank you for all the work you do for us as business owners and leaders, and bringing all this information together for us. You have a great group of leaders and speakers. And so, again, you give up your time to serve the community and serve us. So I thank you for all that you're doing.
Oh, well, you are so welcome.